Areas we're concerned about lifting up to the north and east. So New Lenox, Frankfort, you're out ahead of this. And this is just to the south of I-80 currently, and very strong gusty winds in addition to any rotation that we're going to continue to monitor as this storm quickly moves off to the north and east. Also, there's hail being reported, very heavy rain. So let's take you back to the start here just to regroup. We have this very strong line of rain and storms. We have a severe thunderstorm warning now in effect for Cook County from Chicago stretching down towards southern Cook and parts of northern Will. But within this severe thunderstorm warning in this line, we are finding that embedded area of rotation. And that was something that we were concerned about this morning and into the afternoon, monitoring the atmosphere, showing signs of rotation. So we take you into the tornado warning that was just issued not too long ago for Will County. This remains in effect right now until 5:30. So we're going to stay with you. This is a high impact time again with the commutes out there. This is right along the I-80 corridor and right around the Manhattan region. You can see some very strong signatures coming out of this with the bright reflectivities, and notice just to the south. So some P dime to quarter size hail can't be ruled out, as well as the strong gusty winds in excess of 50 miles per hour. So if you're in the heart of this tornado warning, make sure that you're in your safe place. We do have a little bit of an update here. You can see this polygon that was drawn and the area that is encompassed within this warning. So New Lenox and Frankfort, you're in the zone. Anyone here crossing over Route 45, there's I-80 just to the south. Out ahead of it, you can see we have Madison, Chicago Heights, Homewood as well. So just be alert. You're not in that warn zone yet. When we have a warning on the map, that means you need to take cover immediately. A tornado warning, get to your safe place. Lowest level of your home, basement. If you don't have a basement, you want to be in the interior of your home. You want as much room from yourself and the outside as possible. So an interior closet or a bathroom. So these are things I want you to think about if you're under this warning right now.
Cheryl, that potential rotation is now over 𝘾𝙗𝙗, which is just north of Frankfort. I've got it up on the velocity data here. They just sent an update here. So around New Lenox, and there's Frankfort. Right in this zone right here is where the circulation is located now. So the potential tornado is pretty much in this area here, getting close to the Cook County line here in Will County. So between New Lenox and Frankfort, right here around 𝘾𝙗𝙗 is where this circulation is. So if you're in this area, you're hopefully already in your tornado safe area because you've been under a tornado warning for a few minutes now. But if you're up towards Tinley Park in this part of Cook County, no tornado warning for you just yet, but we're really watching this storm as it moves rapidly off to the north and to the east, because we could go under a tornado warning here in southern Cook County. But that velocity data right here, and this is our live Doppler 7 Max radar showing the signature right in this general area. And I'll switch over to the radar, because I am seeing more of a little curl in the signature right here, this little notch that's showing up on the radar image. That's where we're seeing that rotation taking effect here within the storm itself. There's also some very small hail, maybe not so small, maybe penny-sized hail, which is kind of large hail, but we're getting some hailstones falling from this cluster of storms too. But right there is where that circulation is located, right between US 30 and I-80. So there's Frankfort, there's New Lenox, here's 𝘾𝙗𝙗. Right in that general zone right now is where that threat of a tornado is located. So if you're in southern parts of Orland Park, Orland Hills, parts of Tinley Park, you need to be in your tornado safe room right now and let this storm pass on by. If you're over towards Country Club Hills, Oak Forest, Midlothian, this storm is tracking in your general direction. Cheryl, no word yet if they're going to extend this warning, but there is still signs of a circulation right here on radar. Thankfully, we've got no reports of any touchdowns so far, but certainly radar indicated that this is still potential tornado.
And with this type of system, and what we're also closely monitoring are, obviously we're seeing those strong gusty winds with the storms moving through, but also that potential for a brief tornado touchdown, because we are seeing these signs of rotation and the signatures on radar and velocity indicating that spin. So there could be just a brief touchdown for a period of time. That's something that we're concerned about. So that's where we're finding the possibility here in this one area under this warning. So please take note of that. If you are in northern Will County, this is in effect until 5:30, so another 15 minutes. This will likely start to outrace this warning, so we are going to continue to monitor and look to see if they extend this. I'm seeing right now a severe thunderstorm warning will be coming for Kankakee County, so keep that in mind. As we zoom on out a little bit, here's Kankakee. You just got this new warning in place for you, and this is going to be in effect for about the next 30 to 40 minutes as this line continues to race out. So this one in effect until 6 p.m. now, and you can see this line approaching Kankakee. Severe thunderstorm warnings issued with this event because of the strong gusty winds and upwards of 50, 60 mile per hour winds not out of the question. Also the heavy rain and the potential for that hail that's coming down, and reports of wind damage also coming in from around the area. So something we're monitoring there. We do have storm reports coming in from storm spotters that have been out in the field as well. They have their eyes on this, which we're helping us relay messages to you. So that's good. But we are continuing to monitor that one tornado warning here. I want to switch to velocity just to get a good look at what we're finding. And Larry was mentioning between New Lenox and Frankfort, and that's still where we're finding. You can see that notch now just to the east of New Lenox here. I'd be a little bit concerned now just to the south of I-80 close to Marley, a little rotation signature being picked up there. So again, this is racing quickly to the north and east at about 45 miles per hour. If you're out ahead of this because the storm is about to outrun parts of its warned area, I want to put a track on this for you so you can see from about Marley to Frankfort with this line moving to the east 45 miles per hour. If you're in this area, please stay alert. The potential for a tornado warning or a brief tornado touchdown cannot be ruled out for you. Frankfort 518, Orland Hills 522, Tinley Park at 524, Oak Forest 529, and Chicago Heights 532. Now this is if this storm holds itself together and continues to show signs of rotation within it. So something we are closely monitoring, but winds in excess of 50 to 60 miles per hour here with this line as it's moving through. So I'm sure if you're hearing the rain and the thunder coming down, you're also seeing those trees swaying. But if you get a tornado warning, just stay in your safe place until that storm passes, and then you'll be good to go. I can say the good news is that once this line of rain and storms passes to the east, northwest Indiana, by about 7, 8 o'clock, our severe weather threat will be done. But we do have a warm front along our southern counties here, and that's what's allowing for that spin. That's where we're finding the milder air and the ingredients coming together for some severe weather here. So, Larry, want to throw it to you, see if you're getting updates.
Yeah, getting some feedback here from the National Weather Service, and we're looking at this line real closely. And the situation that we're going to be faced with for the next hour or so as these storms move through, first off the rest of Illinois, then into northwest Indiana, is the potential for some brief spin-up tornadoes along the leading edge of this line. You see the yellow boxes, which are the severe thunderstorm warning, and we had the rotation spotted on the radar that prompted the tornado warning, which is technically still in effect for another 12 minutes or so. And I'm going to zoom in closer here on the radar and show you along the leading edge here. You see how it's rather jagged in nature? Well, when you get this perspective on a storm like this, whenever you see these little notches form in what would typically just be a gusty line of storms to come through, you get a little concerned about brief spin-ups on the leading edge of these storms and the leading edge of where the gusty winds are located. And that's what prompted the warning initially, as right along the leading edge here we had these little brief spin-ups showing up on the radar. And I'm switching over to our velocity mode on our own radar, our Live Doppler 7 Max radar, because you can really see right here now near Tinley Park, there are still some signs of rotation. At this point, the National Weather Service has not issued a tornado warning for Cook County, but most of the rotation now has moved, at least mostly out of the tornado warned area. Just now to the near 𝙒𝙗𝙗 and Frankfort, there's still some signs that there could be some brief rotation within the winds, and that's also the case over towards Tinley Park. So not completely out of the woods here, but the rotation signature, at least compared to how it was a few moments ago when they issued the tornado warning, is not as stark looking as it was a few moments ago. So that's some really good news for us. But the storm itself, as it was coming through, and I've got the debris mode detection here where we can see if anything was lofted up in the air and being detected by the radar. I didn't spot anything on the radar detection mode here of the debris to see if anything was being blown up into the air. That's a good sign. But here's the thing, with that front just hung up over southern Cook County and right across Lake and Porter County here in northwest Indiana, the threat for tornadoes is mainly right along this warm front and south of the warm front, because once you get into the colder air, like it's just 43 right now, midway 39 at the lakefront, you can't have a tornado when it's this cold, because to get a tornado you need the air to rise, and only warm air rises, cold air sinks. So you can't get a tornado unless temperatures get warmer than what we're seeing now across the city. There will be some gusty winds and maybe some hail, but the tornado threat is along that warm front. So Cheryl, what we have to watch for are the storms that'll be along that warm front for the next about hour and a half before they sweep out in northwest Indiana.
Yeah, and I want to talk about those winds, and hopefully we can keep you on, because getting a lot of reports and people asking what is with all of the dust and the dirt.
Yeah.
Well, the winds are so strong with this line, and when it was moving in from more open land, it was picking up that dirt and some of that debris out there in the fields and bringing it with it in the storms, and then that's creating a coating of dust and dirt on people's cars. They're like, are we in a dust storm? So that's just something that's ongoing and happening with this storm event, which makes it a bit unique.
It was like that on Saturday too for the St. Patrick's Day parade. If you were downtown or really anywhere, you had that dust come in from the south and west, and kind of the same situation today, especially down here south of that warm front, Cheryl, where look at the winds are gusting upwards of 40 miles per hour.
And we do have that wind advisory in effect overnight until tomorrow morning. And not only are we going to see the warm part of this storm moving through, we're getting in on that right now. That's causing the severe storms. But then we're going to see that changeover from rain to snow overnight. So truly that time of the year where we're seeing these dynamic spring storm systems getting in touch with that warm, moist air from the south, and then that cold air crashing in, allowing for the changeover. And it's just a wild weather ride for us.
Yeah, it was over the weekend, and now we're getting it again today. And tonight we get snow. I know we talked about that at the 4 o'clock newscast, but after these storms move out, the colder air moves in. We could get a dusting to maybe an inch or two of snow overnight tonight. The warning technically still in effect for about another 8 minutes or so. I haven't got word yet from the Weather Service as to whether or not they'll continue it into Cook County. From the look of the radar presentation, Cheryl, and if you agree with me, let me know. It doesn't look like the rotation is quite as intense, but again, along that leading edge, we'll still have to watch for some brief spin-ups.
Right. It doesn't look as an ominous, and as it's already beginning to outrun its warn zone right now, I would have anticipated a warning to come out and be issued for parts of Cook County already, and that hasn't happened. But with that said, you still need to be on guard, because regardless of the rotation or a brief tornado touchdown, these storms are punching winds upwards of 50 to 60 miles per hour. And that could also reduce the visibility when we're talking about some of that dirt and some of that ground debris being lofted into some of these storms, reducing visibility with the rain and the hail coming down as well. So I know it's just a mess for some of you right now, especially for those commuting at this hour. I mean, it is 5:23 here, and we are dealing with just a lot of messy weather moving in. So just to go over it all again, you can see the line of rain and storms, the lightning associated with these, the gusty winds can be expected. And this is beginning to get very close here to downtown Chicago. And I would say within just minutes, this will be racing through. We're going to see those winds start to really pick up here now over the next 20 to 25 minutes. And then you can see countryside there right down towards Worth. You can see those high reflectivity values. So very, very heavy rain, downpours, and that's where we're also anticipating some hail within these storms. Anywhere from about pea to dime size hail. Nothing too large has been reported from our storm spotters out there. A lot of pea size hail, so don't be surprised to see that. And some minor wind damage being reported across
Cheryl,
the area.
they just canceled the tornado warning. So
that is good news.
5:30. Yeah, great news there. They canceled the tornado warning. So no tornado warnings in effect at this time, but we continue with the severe thunderstorm warnings. I don't know if we can pull up our camera here downtown pointed to the west and look at these storms blowing in, because a lot of our storm spotters who were out in the fields when these storms were moving through the western suburbs were showing or telling us there was a lot of swirling going on in the clouds, and sometimes that gets mistaken for funnel clouds when in reality it's just the turbulence that's in the atmosphere from these thunderstorms. And the look of the clouds with some of these storms is obviously very ominous as they blow on through, but really the only concern of tornadoes is down to the south where we've got the warmer temperatures. There's a look from our up the Chicago River, Cheryl.
Yeah, this is just a look over the river, but you can see the low level moisture here and those clouds hanging around, and Chicago in the cooler conditions today with temperatures in the 40s. I mean, that's something that we were noting throughout the day. Such a contrast in terms of our temperatures. So as I bring that up here, you're going to notice that difference. And some of you in that warm sector along and south of that frontal boundary, which is now really beginning to push a little bit farther off to the east. But you can see Waukegan at 39 degrees and Kankakee at 66 degrees. So such a contrast across the board. But Getting out of that severe weather threat is where those temperatures are much cooler, but still for 𝙒𝙚𝙖𝙩𝙚 Kankakee and northwest Indiana, anyone in the 60s and along and south of I-80, that's where that severe weather threat resides in the next 1 to 2 hours. So you need to stay alert here. And this is satellite and radar as a whole. You can see the warnings just littered across northern Illinois right now, but the heaviest and the strongest of the storms moving through parts of our region, DuPage County into Cook at this point in time. Very heavy rain, a lot of lightning, and strong gusty winds can be expected with these. Some minor wind damage. Definitely a possibility in and around our region. And Kankakee, that severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 6 p.m. This is a very strong line here. So this is going to barrel on through. Winds picking up in intensity for you right now. This will take another about 15 to 20 minutes before it pushes east of the state line here into northwest Indiana. Again, these storms are moving really quickly. We do still have that tornado watch as well in effect until 9 p.m. tonight. That will likely expire early just because how fast these storms are moving in our region. But just a heads up, again, along and south of I-80, we had the one tornado warning that was issued for our region. We are not completely out of the woods just yet. So a lot still to monitor here as we go into the next 1 to 2 hours, and then we'll get out of that severe weather threat across the region.
That tornado watch has just been trimmed back. You folks in Kendall and Grundy County and LaSalle County, you were under the watch up until just a few moments ago, but that line of storms as it moves eastward is ending the severe weather threat behind it. I got some video in from New Lenox, and we were talking about the turbulence in the atmosphere and how ominous these clouds look. Well, New Lenox was part of the area that had the tornado warning. You can hear the outdoor warning sirens going off, and this looks like the potential there for some rotation that it would be quite the thing that may have prompted the tornado warning that we spotted on the radar. What we're looking at there is to see if the base of that cloud is rotating a little bit, and right there from that perspective there appears to be a little broad rotation within that video. So that's what we saw in New Lenox as this line of storms passed on by. Got a new severe thunderstorm warning now for most of northwest Indiana. Looks like all of Lake and Porter County and the northern parts of Newton and Jasper County. You're now under that severe thunderstorm warning. You got it there, Cheryl?
Yep, it is in effect until 6:45 for those of you. So we've been talking about it. It's moving quickly. It's going to race into your region here, and then by about 6:45, 7, this line will be out of here. So we are under the severe weather threat, I would say, at least for another 1 to 2 hours, and then the storms will exit to the east. So we still have a few hours left, couple hours left of some very heavy rain and some strong winds, and the potential here for some weak rotation, again, mainly for our counties off to the south. So watching this line of severe thunderstorms, they're still picking up on a few areas of rotation out there, but we'll continue to keep you updated here as we have the warnings on the map. If any warnings, tornado warnings develop, we'll bring you that. Back to you guys at the anchor desk.
All right, Cheryl, Scott, Larry, Maury, keeping everybody safe with all those warnings and watches. It's pretty active out there. We're not completely out of the woods.
Excellent coverage for Cheryl and Larry for sure. And we invite you to stay tuned. We'll see you back here at 6 o'clock right after World News Tonight.
And the winner is T-Mobile Home Internet. J.D. Power's #1 in customer satisfaction for home wireless internet.
We just want to thank T-Mobile.
The wrap it up music already? Really?
T-Mobile Home Internet has price lock. They won't raise your rate on internet.
I didn't even get to thank my Gram.
Or tell people that with T-Mobile, there's even a plan with Paramount Plus and Hulu included.
The winner is T-Mobile Home Internet with plans starting at $35 a month with price lock.
Thank you.
If you feel like you're on the wrong road with your finances, Credit Karma can help you push through to a better place. Because that's how you gain the power to reach your horizons, wherever they may take you.
A new tornado warning was just issued, and this is a large tornado warning, and this encompasses a lot of people here in southern Cook County, Lake County, and Will. Here you can see that warning, the outline there, which stretches into northwest Indiana, and this is going to be in effect until 6 p.m. at this point in time. We're still finding areas of weak rotation along this line, so the potential for brief tornado touchdowns in this region from Country Club Hills stretching down towards Monique just to the east of I-57 there for parts of Will and Lake County, and then into northwest Indiana. You're out ahead of this line, so right along I-80, I-90 there. Gary, you're just off to the east of this, but anyone in this zone, heads up, you need to get to your safe place because this tornado warning, the potential for rotation is out there. So let's switch over to velocity. I don't know if, Larry, you have that pulled up already as we continue to monitor the path of this, and I can switch over to
Cheryl. I don't know if they can take my picture here or not. We'll pull the radar. There we go. There you go. There's the two spots. There are two spots, as you were pointing out, Cheryl, where the rotation is near Flossmoor and then near Crete right here. And there's the outline of the tornado warning. There's also potentially another little rotation center just to the east, west rather, of Beecher. And let me zoom in on the radar here, because these little notches that are popping up, and there's one right here, right over Flossmoor near Madison, near Homewood and Chicago Heights. This is the first center here that prompted the tornado warning, where there's some circulation evident right now over the Homewood and Hazel Crest area, right towards Thornton as well. So if you're in this zone here around Harvey, Homewood, Thornton, over towards Hazel Crest, you need to be in your safe tornado spot right now. There's the updated scan, and right here over Homewood is where this potential tornado is located. It's a quick spin-up tornado right along the gust front of this thunderstorm, but that's the one spot here where we have a potential tornado moving through. Again, this is radar indicated, and then as we look down farther south along that line, there is probably more possibilities of some brief spin-ups near Chicago Heights, and then Goodenow as well, just to the south of Crete. Those areas right along that velocity line here is where we're getting the rotation centers. But that one in Homewood, Cheryl, that's the one that's most concerning at the moment.
Yeah, National Weather Service even commenting a possible tornado in this region that cannot be ruled out. So a brief tornado touchdown in this vicinity. So if you're under this warning, especially right now around Homewood, Glenwood, this is just to the south of I-80. You can also see that intersection there's I-94. So heads up, get to your safe place, lowest level of your home, the possibility of a brief tornado touchdown in this region. If we don't see that tornado touchdown, that's good news, but still very strong winds expected, upwards of 50 to 60 miles per hour.